So what does it mean to be consciously aware, and how do we look at our awareness, and why do we understand it the way that we do, and what is that like for us? It feels as though that it is like this. We live our life thinking that this moment's passing means that there is a death to it in some way. Because I'm aware of time in this way, in a conscious way, meaning that I'm aware that that moment is no more. It's past. It's in the past. I have an awareness of myself in terms of being and not being. So as each moment passes and I notice that and I'm aware of that passing of time, this is the picture of being aware that you're aware, self-conscious. But all the while we tend to think of all of this, time and everything is separate from our own being. So because of this reality, we see that all of these things move and happen automatically apart from our own awareness, just like your heartbeat is apart from your own awareness, your breath. Things that are incredibly vital to you happen apart from your own awareness. Even more complicated tasks like walking become automatic, or eating, it's all writ memory after a certain point. Things that you grow accustomed to in your knowledge of yourself and your surrounding, things tend to become automatic. So what I want to point out is that the whole of it is just a happening. And when you get down to it fundamentally, like what reality is and what this all is it's really a happening. Something apart from control or your will to create your desire, which is separated from everything, like simply because of how the mind sees. The eyes of your mind and your awareness see by seeing a separate you or a separate self continually. Who am I in this moment? And then who am I in the next moment? If I see myself, like in a photo from a long time ago, years have passed, or a video where years have passed, is that a separate me? Or is that still the same me? Am I that same person? Your mind almost wants to trick yourself immediately into saying, no, that's a different me, but with a conscious understanding, whether that be through memory or the evidence of that happening through the fact that you have a photo or a video, it's, evident that that was you. Now, a similar thing is happening on a massive scale. Something like the ear being misidentified as not being a part of my body, or, whatever it would be, a part of your body that's not you. Now, this feels silly, but we look at our body like this, like it's not us. We go to refer to the ear as my ear. What's behind that? What are you referring to when you're saying my whatever it is that you're referring to about yourself? And we go on to refer to things that are not us in a similar manner, like my house, my car, as if body is object or world is object. Now, what was I talking about when I was referring to desire and your will to create being apart from that, and why is that like what sort of confuses us into that kind of thinking? Because it's firstly what I have identified with as a man, like what I want, my will, to be in the world as I see it and as I can know it, as I can really know it. Why is it such a curious thing? Like, why is that the center point of our focus in this day and age? Back in the Garden of Eden, Satan said to Eve that if she were to eat of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, then she would be as gods, or that mankind would become as gods, knowing good and evil and judging for oneself according to what? What's that central aspect or point? What's the hidden part of that? And what does that have to do with death or death of body, or, like, it's all a strange thing. You don't even have to believe in it to account for it as a story that you can try and understand. I think that it characteristically has to do with the fact of being able to decide what is good and evil for oneself, which has everything to do with desire and our will, the creation of a separate will. So we fight continually about what essentially boils down to nonsense most of the time. Even fighting about, you know, whether or not this is existence itself or something that should be fundamentally obvious. Jesus said, I am. And those around him, the Pharisees, they said that he blasphemed. He really said that he was alive. He was life. And that was blasphemy because of the darkness of the world around us. So if the basic point, the fundamental starting point of even whether or not existence itself is yours, whether or not you are really alive, is blasphemy, then that's like fighting over eating the food, drinking, the drink, and living the life like we see around us. Fighting over nonsense. Doesn't it get tiring that that's what you actually see around you? And it's strange, when fundamentally what we fight over is good. We ought fight over our being or our right to life, which really makes no sense because we saw a separate self. Like, we have a different will from each other, when the source of being unified and just stepping back and seeing that and really understanding that is a solution, like a cure for the poison, which we couldn't even see. So what if you really care deeply about all these issues? What do you do when you see brothers and sisters fighting over nothing? Because we're more than that. We fight over what we don't have, and we don't focus on solving those problems to begin with. Free energy, free water, free food. That's, all one and the same thing. Issues that need to be solved, and we can't solve them because we're not seeing the big picture. So if we really care about the issues in the world, we should all, understand what we already understood. Because we all really know this.